I live life to experience. I promote change. This is my life. This is my life channel. Welcome to my channel. So I wanted to make this first video to welcome everybody to my channel. I want this to be a channel where I can make my experiences your experiences, where a channel where as I learn more about myself and more about humanity and the phenomena called life, the more I learn, like, I want to share. So that's why I'm making this channel. Not too long ago, I started having like high anxiety, panic attacks, and things like that. It started about 2 years ago. It is March of 2017, and this started maybe back in 2015. Around the same time as now. I started getting like high anxiety, like out of nowhere, and then one day I had a panic attack, and I felt like I couldn't breathe. I felt trapped, and I immediately had to start this medicine called Klonopin. And people that have anxiety know that Klonopin works pretty fast, but it's also an addictive type of drug. So I was on Klonopin, for a year. Klonopin is only supposed to be used for a short-term relief for anxiety attacks. And I was on it for a year. I was on that for a year, but I wasn't on any other medicine. I was just, trying to maintain this anxiety that I had started to feel, and it just, I honestly don't know where it came from. Anyway, so my anxiety was high, and I felt like this for about a year. And I was taking the Klonopin, I was getting refilled. I wasn't seeing any therapist or anything like that. I did have to see a therapist one time, but anyway, that's beside the point. I wasn't being followed on this drug, okay? And I noticed that things start getting worse and worse. Like, my anxiety wouldn't come down, like it would stay high. I ended up having to check into a mental hospital. Yeah, I know, right? I ended up having to check into a mental hospital twice. During the second year, my anxiety had gotten so high that I had to retreat from, life. And I had to go and recoup, I was seeing, by the second year, I was seeing a therapist and a psychiatrist. They were trying to help me with the medicines, and just nothing seemed to work. Like, nothing seemed to work. It was a long journey, because every time that I would switch a medicine, the doctor would tell me that it would take 6 weeks to see any results of this. And oh yeah, by the way, when you first start, it might make you a little edgy, a little bit more nervous than what you feel. And it was just like, wow, so having to go through that, and then the medicine's not working. I was dying on the inside, like literally. I have photos of myself where I look like my soul is just tired. My eyes, I can barely keep my eyelids up. I look vibrant today. I'll post picture so you can see how worn my soul was, you know, from being anxious all the time and just not being able to understand what was wrong with me, what was happening with me. You know, I started to go from just being anxious to slipping into a depression because I couldn't escape what I was feeling. I couldn't control, I had no control over my body. At least it felt that way. Like it was my body, but I didn't have control of it. It's the worst feeling in the world, you know. But you don't have any control over it, but you feel the consequences of all the symptoms that happen to your body. It's crazy. However, so moving forward, you know, 2 years, anxiety, unexplained anxiety, depression episodes, anxiety attacks, and I was in a relationship, and my relationship was suffering because I was irritable all the time. I don't know, I wasn't here. Like, I was here, but mentally I just wasn't here, you know. Everything overstimulated me, like listening to loud music, people yelling back and forth, loud, you know, noises, crowds, chaos. It all really started to get to me. And then I spiraled into this thing where I started to try and protect myself. So I stopped going to grocery stores and like big stores, like, you know, like huge department stores, especially the ones that are like all chaotic, you know, if the workers don't put things back and it's not neat and stuff like that. Like, I couldn't go into those stores. I used a grocery online ordering service for almost a year because I just didn't want to be out among a bunch of people. Like, it was too much for me. It was too much for me. So I stopped going to stores, and then like my studies started to suffer. Yeah, I could always remember myself being, you know, back in, you know, high school. I graduated valedictorian. I'm sorry, I graduated salutatorian. I'm sorry, I graduated salutatorian of my high school class, and then when I got to college, I graduated with honors. I graduated as summa cum laude. And, you know, so learning and, you know, education and stuff like that, it all just came so easy to me when I was younger. But with this new anxiety, like, I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't read the books that were assigned to me. It was just it was a struggle. I had to, I ended up downloading a Word, like a text to speech software so that I could scan in all the pages to my books and read them, because, you know, and have the program read them to me, because I couldn't get my concentration on the book to be able to read the book to myself. I just, you know, and so it just got really bad. It got really bad, and I was on different medications. Yeah. And I think what did it for me was I started developing a really strong OCD. I would hear people say what OCD was, but I didn't really understand OCD until it started happening to me. And like, like I couldn't walk outside, like when it was raining or wet, because just the dirt and the mud, or if there was, you know, newspaper that was wet on the ground or something like that, like it would really freak me out. Or like rugs on the floor, they had to be straight. Wrinkled rugs just made things feel dirty. I don't know, you know, it was just a lot of different things that happened. It was just like a snowball effect, you know. It started with the high anxiety, then it turned to depression, and then it turned into me reacting to my environment, which caused, you know, panic attacks, the OCD, you know. So I was in like really, really bad shape. I was in bad shape, and, you know, I started to feel hopeless. And I didn't, the ideal of it not minding if I didn't wake up the next day, you know, it didn't seem so bad, you know. Here I am, stressed, high anxiety all the time, depression cycles on and off, you know, feeling like I had no control of my own body, of my own emotions, of my own, just my body, you know. I started to feel like maybe the world would be better if I could just stop. If I could just stop this life right now, you know, it would be all over, and it would be better. So I started to get, I guess, what they call suicidal ideations, and it was rough. It was rough on my partner at the time. We were just dating, but, you know, it was really rough on him because he didn't know who he was gonna meet in the morning, you know. Like, one day she's happy, the next day she's fussing at me, she's angry, and not even the next day, the next moment, really, you know. And it got bad. And then the worst thing that happened, or should I say the best thing that happened, was he had to leave me for a few, like 6 months. He had something he had to take care of, something he had to do. I didn't want him to go. I didn't want him to do it, but he had to physically leave me for about 6 or 7 months. And I felt like I was in living hell. There was no more extra energy in my living space, you know. Like, it was all my energy, it was all me. Whatever was going on inside of me, I had to deal with it by myself. And I didn't feel strong enough. I did not feel strong enough. But as the universe would have it, he had to go anyway. He left. And, you know, he stayed in contact with me every day. And I felt like a part of me died on the inside. Like, or was dying. I hadn't died yet, but it was going down. And, man, it was really tough. It was hard. It was really, really, really rough. Because I felt like at the time that I needed him the most, he wasn't there. He wasn't gonna be there. And I felt like I went into a fog state mentally. I was living, I was here, but I wasn't here. I don't know, everything was just so foggy, like that. And that's the only way that I can explain it, you know. On the outside, I was, to people on the outside, I was doing okay. But for me on the inside, I was not doing well. And I was having moments in which, I had to cry, or I had to, just ball up in my bed and just, sleep for hours in a day. It was, on the inside, it was bad. And for those that can read energy, if you look at the pictures around that time, I actually was starting to look again like my soul was draining from my body. I started to look that way, the same way that I had looked before. Again, like I could see it in my face that I was getting tired and that I was dying on the inside. I just don't know how else to say it, That's what it felt like. And then I started doing some research. I wanted to come off the medicine. I felt heavy. I felt disconnected. I don't know. It didn't feel real, And I could tell the difference from my mindset then, from the mindset that I had when I was younger, because it felt different. It felt like when you're younger and, if your house is relatively a good home, you weren't abused or anything like that, then you feel a sense of calm on the inside. And I didn't feel that anymore. And I wanted that. And so I started doing research, and, I started meditating, and then things started appearing to me. Like, once I started to get calmer on the inside, I was still struggling with my anxiety and my emotions on the inside, but I had gotten a little bit of control over it, enough to where I started to think a little bit more clearer than I was thinking before. Like, everything was a fog. I was starting to come out of the fog. My partner had returned. That 6 months had gone by. I died the entire time, but he came back, and so I had a little bit more support. And God bless his heart, because he's definitely a trooper. Anyway, he came back, we got engaged. I was doing research on, like, my chakras, how to realign myself, how to do energy work, because I was so tired and exhausted all the time, and I didn't want to take the pills and stuff anymore. So I started looking for more organic ways to relax and to have energy, and I found a few ways, and those things were helping me. So I was able to bring my mind to a place where I could start to meditate and to concentrate on fixing myself from the inside out. So I was meditating, I was doing yoga, and things started to get better. And then I was starting to run into, like, a lot of different messages, things that I felt like could help me, and there are no coincidences in this world. Like, things fall into place for a reason, things happen for a reason. And I just started getting introduced to a lot of different things like Chinese herbs, you know, plant-based diet, eating, that sort of thing. And just more of a natural lifestyle. I started, you know, reading more about the human mind because I'd started, well, I was saying I was in school, but I couldn't concentrate because I was getting my master's in mental clinical psychology, clinical mental psychology. And I'm still getting my master's right now. But, you know, going down that path, I started to get a lot of different information about the human body and how it works, and, you know, the energy and affirmations and just different stuff like that. Started to come my way, like the different information that I needed to get where I was trying to be mentally for myself. You know, having dealt with the anxiety for 2 years straight, I'm talking about nonstop. You know, I needed some peace. And I decided whatever I had to do to get that peace, I was willing to do it. And then that's when the taste for alcohol left my mouth. I just didn't want it anymore, you know. I didn't want to drink. And then it's so funny because then people started offering me like free drinks all the time. And I was just like, nah, I'm good, you know. So that was the first thing that I started to cut after getting all this information to help me get back to my normal, natural self. I started, so I cut the alcohol. And then once something happened to me, as I started to learn about meditating and stuff like that, I learned that, you know, that we live in realms and that we operate at different frequencies. And that if you could raise your vibration a little higher, that eventually you'd be able to start to sense things that most people can't sense because they're blocking it off, you know. And so I started with manifesting through sexuality, through meditation. Yeah, I started doing that, and it made me feel good. I started to see things, have visions of my future, and it would make me so happy, so joyful that I would, you know, it would make me cry because I was so grateful. I was so grateful that, one, my insides were changing because I wasn't as anxious anymore. I was starting to calm down. And, you know, two, that I've been given this gift. Like, I don't know where it comes from. I don't know. But all I know is that I'm grateful to have it. You know, that I can see things. So, a family member passed that I had only known for a little bit of time. It was actually my partner's family member passed, and I remember feeling his grief. Like, I remember feeling that he needed me, and I just wanted to help him any way that I can. I mean, any way that I could. So I started using my meditation with the the efforts to possibly talk to this family member that was about to pass before, the passing of this family member. So one day I was meditating and it came to me that this family member of my partner's was going to pass, like tonight. And how do you tell somebody that? Not to mention, I was battling on the inside that I was just imagining this and that I made this up. And that, like, me, of all people, why would I get an image like that? Like, So, I trusted the image and I contacted my partner. I did not tell my partner that this family member was going to pass. What I said was, you need to, I instructed my partner to take this a little bit more serious. If there's anything that you need to say to this family member, and just anything that you need to know from this family member, today is the day to get that. And, treat it like this is your last conversation. And, I did that, and so the next day I got a phone call early in the morning then with news that family member had passed. I remember feeling chills go up my spine, and then I cried because I was grateful that I was given the opportunity, or I was given the vision, or whatever you want to call it, I don't know, to look into somebody else's life, or look into somebody else's future, or whatever. I was given that opportunity. I was me, why me? And so from that day forward, I started to take it a little bit more serious. Like, I had already stopped drinking alcohol. So I was like, I really want to raise my frequency, So I switched from, the regular Western American diet to a plant-based vegan diet. And ever since, this is all taking place within a matter of like 3 months, 2 months. The last part about, my partner coming back and everything after that. That was a matter of 2 months. So I stopped drinking alcohol and switched to a vegan diet within 2 months. And it really, really has made a difference. Like, I have so much more energy. Like, I can wake up in the morning and I don't have those gastric issues that I used to have. My anxiety is almost non-existent because I'm able to control. I have control now, so that's where I am right now, That's where I am right now. I just want to test my human limits. Like, I want to know what makes us, why are we different? Why are we so special? Humans. Just not even humans, just the existence of everything that's here on this earth and in the ethers, in the universe. Like, what is this? I just want to know for myself. So the vegan diet that I'm telling you about, I actually started that a week ago. And ever since then, I've been getting a lot of the things that I'm asking for mentally, like I want to know more, you know. Before I open up my phone sometimes, I just say out loud, teach me something today, you know. And then I learn something, you know. So I want to know what are our limitations. That's what I want to know. Do we have a limit? So, with that said, I'm going to be using this channel as a journey to see what is this experience we call life. What is this? And I hope that you guys will take this journey with me.